Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second session of this month's webinar, where we are talking about different aspects of responsibility, how we feel around responsibility, and how we figure out if we are carrying more than necessary responsibility or we are carrying it less and we feel guilty about it, and how that shows up in our personal life. So today we want to start with uh, the feeling of overburden with the responsibilities in one's life. So often we have clients who walk into therapy and they are usually, most of them, I don't want to say that everybody, but most of them feel that they are overburdened with different kinds of responsibilities in their life and they don't see a way out. So what are the different scenarios in which we may feel overburdened with the responsibilities? So, the first very common kind of uh, overburdening experience is when a child is carrying the responsibility of parents. So, something that a parent is supposed to do, but either because one of the parents or both the parents are physically absent or emotionally or mentally absent, means they lack certain capacity. And in that case, the child feels that they see that responsibility, nobody is picking it up. And then out of blind love, loyalty, they go and pick it up. So if you find yourself overburdened, this is the first thing that you can look for. That are you doing something which is not necessarily your part to do, your part to look after, but because one or both your parents are not able to do that or they are not there. For example, if somebody has lost their uh, parents, one of them in early childhood, or in some cases father is just physically away because of the nature of his work, his career. At times nowadays even mother can be in that category because women also have their own career. So if as a child you have felt that one of them was missing, physically missing, else they were there but one of them could not take up many responsibilities. Another scenario when uh, one of the parents is constantly unwell, yeah, physically they are not capable to do certain things, and then the child wakes up, child gets up and thinks that nobody's doing this, so maybe let me do that. So if you find yourself anywhere in such kind of scenario, then know that because you're carrying which is not necessarily your responsibility, your job or your duty, then you are going to feel preoccupied when it comes to looking at your own life. So that's the first scenario where unconsciously we often carry parents' responsibilities, which may look like because they are not doing it, I have started doing it, and eventually I might feel the need to rescue my parent. So either I start replacing one of my parents and I then get entangled with both the parents because usually the child will feel angry with the missing parent, may feel not supported, not nurtured enough by the missing parent. Or sometimes, in the process of carrying that responsibility, they start parenting the parent. So now they are replacing or excluding the grandparents. And in both the cases, their energy is stuck with parents, and then it is not completely free for their own life. So that's first kind of overburden uh, with the responsibility scenario. Priya, you want to share about the next one?
I can. Um, and before that, I just want one point that we covered in the last webinar already, and that could be the premise of feeling overburdened. Just a small line that responsibility as a concept is a adult or a parent concept. It's not a child. It's not the work of a child to be responsible. So when the child starts understanding more than feeling, that's when the first scenario can take place. When the child understands, oh, my parent is not there, or this is happening, or that is happening, I'm not feeling or going through that feeling, or I feel sad, then there is a possibility that the child can start mentalizing things and understanding things and become over responsible. So that's the first case. The second case, or the second scenario in which a person can feel overburdened with responsibility is uh, in the order of the siblings that they are. So usually the first child unknowingly sometimes takes up the role of the parent for the siblings below them. And whatever has not reached the siblings below them, the elder sibling or the first sibling or the older sibling tries to kind of compensate for what the parent has not done for their sibling. Now, in this situation, what happens? One, the child who is doing this, who is overcompensating for the parent, has taken up a responsibility which is not theirs and hence might feel overburdened. That is what we spoke in the first case also. When you take on something which is not yours, you start feeling burdened in a way. Two, also what happens is because that child is kind of replacing the parent in the sibling's life, the sibling does not get to experience the parent completely as they are. For example, if child one, the first child, does something for the second child, what the second child expects from the father, the second child is not able to experience the father as they are for them. That is what Constellation says, that I take my parents as they are. So a parent can behave differently with different children, and that is enough for the child. So in certain cases, for example, if the second child says, or the that oh, my father was not present over here, like he was not present for my college admissions. My elder brother was there, and the elder brother thinks that, oh, my father was there during my time, so now it is my job to help my brother or my sister to do this. Is it wrong? No, it is not wrong. But it is not because the parent is not doing it. If they take their role as a sibling, then okay. But if they are compensating more than what they should or what is expected out of them, then they are actually creating a disharmony in the order of the family or the flow of life to the siblings also. In the older generation, if you see, because the number of siblings were more, and because the oldest sibling had a big age gap with the youngest, there are many cases or many families where the oldest sibling actually has acted like the mother or the father because the parent has become very old comparatively. So it happens in a lot of Indian families that the first child usually becomes the second mother or the second father to the sibling. And it is a very, I can say ingrained conditioning that is there in Indian families, that an elder sibling has to be more responsible, has to be more understanding towards their younger sibling. It is a kind of an expectation. So that is the second scenario where a child might feel. If I have to take order of the family, and in certain cases, sometimes the younger sibling might feel overburdened or might be over responsible. How? because sometimes the parents are able to give more time and energy to the younger sibling, which they have not given to the older sibling. So the younger sibling now feels a guilt of experiencing more of the parents in a particular way and feels that my elder sibling also should get more. So responsibility is not necessarily um, a kind of a hierarchy, meaning that the first is more responsible, the second is not. It's not that. It's very personal to the person in the family and how they have experienced where they stand in the family. Yeah. So that's the second situation where a sibling overcompensates for the parent. Gayatri, do you want to add something to this or go on with the third?
No, I think this is good. The third scenario is that where younger sibling is playing the role of the older sibling. So if the older sibling is physically or emotionally missing or feels incapable of doing something, and then the younger sibling takes that role and behaves like the bigger one between the siblings. Even then, this younger sibling is going to feel overburdened, and that is going to show up that the relationship between the siblings will have a disharmony or a lot of hurt and anger issues. So that creates the challenges in the relationship between siblings when the order is not in place. So when we say order, that means that the first one gets the first seat and first one takes the more responsibility than the one who has come after them. So like Priya said, that it's not about hierarchy, but when the older sibling takes up the responsibility for younger siblings like a sibling, then it is healthy. But in many families, also, it is said to the first born child that after us, you are going to look after your siblings, you are going to be their father or mother. Yeah. Or in some families, we see that the younger sibling is calling the older sibling, you are like my father, you are like my mother. So that is an indication that this firstborn is compensating for the parent's role. And if not that, if the younger is behaving like the older one, then they are compensating for the older sibling. So usually when the uh, mm, relationship between siblings is not harmonious, or when they grow up and they part ways when it comes to receiving from parents, particularly, in the old age when parents give away what they owned, the property or share of money or investments, whatever. And most often the siblings fall apart in that time. So even there, when that order is not in place, the first one is not taking the enough responsibility, and if the children are not able to receive what parents have decided for them as enough, then it creates the disharmony. And one of them will feel overburdened. So we often hear these complaints in families, right? That I do more for my old parents than other rest of the siblings. So that hurt will create conflict between the siblings. So that's another scenario where an overburdening experience might happen. Yeah. Priya, do you want to share anything else on the next one?
I think in terms of families, sometimes um, when we say that most families, almost all families are dysfunctional in some way or the other, what we are trying to say is, in a way, this only, that one person kind of takes on the role of the other very, very unknowingly. And and then it kind of you know, either under overburdens a person or makes another person feel under responsible or guilty or whatever. And that's where the dynamics start going out of place. The reason for saying this is the fourth point, which is then what is, uh, we also see in families that, or in people, that some people feel overly responsible for everything in humanity. Like they feel responsible as a person, they feel sensitive as a person. They say, oh, you know what, I really have to do this for either the people of my family or the people of my community or people at large, because it is my bounden duty as a human being to do this. Now, what is not healthy in this statement? What is not healthy in the statement is that in this case the person might not have a sense of self, and once they do not have a right sense of self, and when have an inflated sense of self, they tend to take on responsibility which is not theirs unknowingly, either in the community or at large in the family. So there'll be a person who's always overgiving. They'll find people to give, and they will keep looking for people whom they can serve. And in this case, what happens with them is the flip side of it. Is it good or bad? Yes, there can be an argument that it is good, but there is a possibility that the person might not feel enough in terms of resources. So, how does one identify, are they taking on responsibility in general at large? Is the person does not feel resourceful enough. Either they feel I don't have the time for my own things, or I don't have enough money to do what I want to do, or I don't find the right kind of people, I don't find the support. Oh, I do so much for the community. What do I get in return? So that's a possibility where generally a person takes on responsibility more than what they should. And this can come because there is a scattered sense of boundary of the self. What is what have I come here to do? What is my sense of self? What is my responsibility? And I will feel enough for it. So if in areas that anyone feels not enough, I don't feel enough to do this. I want to do this, but I don't feel enough. Or I'm stretching myself too much to do what I'm doing. Then this shows that they are being generally over responsible. There is a possibility that this might trace back to the parents in a constellation session. I'm not going there, but generally, this is a way in which you can identify, are you, do you fall in the category of uh, being an over responsible person generally? Yeah, Gayatri, would you like to add something on this? In fact, this is a matter of discussion, I feel, because a lot of perspectives and a lot of thoughts can flow, which we will have after the webinar. Would you like to add something here?
Another aspect of feeling overburdened is, like Priya said, that if you are overly responsible, then you are already in the pattern of, taking up more than your capacity. And you go with the same pattern in your relationship or in your marriage. So you tend to attract because you are overly responsible. So you are not being an adult, but you are being a parent who is more responsible, right? So a person who is more into their parent energy will usually attract a child energy in the partner. So they will find a partner who does not take enough responsibility in the shared accountabilities in a relationship. And then they might have complaints that, I overgive, I do more, I look after children more, I take care of many things, earning, managing money, household things, a lot of things. So if you find that you feel overburdened in your relationship with your spouse, then know that that overly responsible inner child has grown up and entered into the adult relationship. So in all these cases, what happens is that first the person does not feel enough for their own life. because they either lack attention, energy, time, or any external resource because they have overspent that on something else. And then the different ways in which it shows up in our life. So, physically, people who have shoulder pain or major health issues like frozen shoulder or lot of neck pain, they feel as though they have so much that they are carrying on their back and their shoulder. So, upper back pain problems or spinal pain, because when one is taking up more than their capacity, they will not get enough resources for that. Because the way it works, the way life functions is, I will be given the resources which are necessary for my own life. But if I'm overcompensating for someone else's responsibility, then I will not have enough resources for that. So, such a person may constantly feel not enough supported, which may either show up as a mental belief and again similar experience, or it may show up as back pain or any kind of back issue. So, health issues with spine, neck, shoulder, and back. They might go back to the overcompensation or over responsibility. So, that's one thing. When a person is overburdened, as we said, that they do not have enough energy and enough resources for their own life, either their career suffers or their finances suffer. They feel they have a lot of potential but they cannot tap into it. They cannot achieve the kind of success they are capable of. They may experience that their adult friendships, yeah, or their adult relationship, their spouse constantly feels that they are not fully available because they are preoccupied with their family of origin. Family of origin is the one where we are born. So they are preoccupied. So they may not be fully available to their own partner, their children, as in their family unit. Even if they want to, they don't find time, they may not find energy. Even if it, their child comes and asks for something simple and they might be already tired, so they just dismiss that need, saying that you will have to manage it on your own, or they are just not there to, they do not have listening ear. So any such experiences you have had, you know from your children or from your partner, or you feel that you do not have time for your own personal interests, your friendships, your leisurely times and interests, hobbies, anything, then that is showing that you are overburdened with someone else's responsibility. So sometimes it is so unconscious because it is running in the family. So you just feel that this is how it is. My father lived like that, and now I have to live like that. So when we are talking about all of this, we are not making our parents wrong. We are not saying, oh, they are lacking something. That's why, we should not do that and we should just look at our own life. But acknowledging that in a parent's journey, whatever they could do in their own capacity, and in that, whatever they could give us in their own capacity, is enough for us because that's how it happened. That means that's how it was supposed to happen. And once we start making peace with that, we find our way, we start acknowledging where we are carrying over responsibility or someone else's responsibility. We can start questioning ourselves before saying yes to every responsibility. We can pause. As Priya said, we can start finding a boundary, because overly responsible person will have inflated sense of self, so they are violating other people's boundary. They are going and helping others even before they other people ask them for the help.
I would like to add one more thing over here. Like any of our webinars and any of the topics that we discuss, when we talk of responsibility, we are not saying that if you have fallen into any one of these categories, it is wrong. It is not wrong. The day you get an awareness that yes, this is what I am doing, that that's the day you have a choice to make a change. So we say, the three C's of life are very important. You find the chance, you make a choice, and you create the change. So the point is, the day you or any of the topics that we discussed around responsibility, if you feel you have done or you fall in one of these categories, or if you have any of these physical, mental, emotional symptoms that you feel yes, this rings a bell for me, then that is the moment that the change starts happening, and you can make a choice to work on it more. So has it been wrong till today? No, it has served a purpose, like we always say. And now it can come from a healthier space, so that you can live your life responsible for yourself. That's the intention. If you look at this entire topic from there, I feel you will be very kind to yourself. That's all I had to
I think we can start with the discussion.